a middle split tutorial, so overstretching and middle splits, getting into our middle splits, and yeah, all things middle splits. So hey, you guys enjoy, please subscribe to our channel if you're not already, give this video a thumbs up, and let's get on with it. First we're going to start with side to side lunges, so pressing the back hip down to the ground or the hamstring down to the ground, going from one side to the other, fully extending the leg, and you want to do about 10, probably 10 on each side of these. Then we're going to do a hold in the middle, so sinking your bottom into the ground, pushing your knees out with your hands or your elbows, coming up and then back into a slightly deeper squat position. Try and keep the chest up as high as you can. Now we're going to go into a frog position, so knees are staying in line with the hips, then you've got a right angle with the knee and the foot on the floor, and we're going to do a bit of Pnf stretching to begin with, so you're squeezing the thighs as hard as you can for a couple of seconds, then relaxing, trying to get a bit lower down to the ground until you actually get, well, basically all the way down to the ground if you can, or as low and as comfortable as it feels. Remember, this is an advanced middle split session. This is not for someone who can probably not do middle splits, as we will be going into overstretching. Now we're going to be going into a frog position, one leg extended. So again, we're going to do that Pnf stretching, squeezing as hard as we can with the legs and then sinking the bottom lower down to the ground until we get all the way down to the ground. Make sure the foot is staying in line with the hip of the leg straight and the knee is staying in line with the hips of the knee bent, and then we're going to change sides, so fully extending the other leg and lowering down as much as we can, squeezing the legs and then lowering down the body into the ground. So you can do as many of the Pnf stretches as you want, you know, squeeze for 3 seconds, relax into the stretch, squeeze for another 3, relax into the stretch, and then hold at the end. Now we're going to get into straddle lowers, so keeping the back nice and straight, the arms by the ears. We're lowering all the way down to the ground, keeping your back straight. So there shouldn't be a hunch in the ground, hunch in the back. We're just lowering the back down to the ground, keeping it nice and flat. And we're going to do 10 of these, and then on the last one we're going to lower all the way down into a hold on the floor. Nice and relaxed. So just holding this position, and then you can just make sure that the legs are turned out, make sure the feet aren't turning into the floor. So you're in a full straddle stretch coming up, and we're going to go into a middle split position. So legs are coming out to the side, and then you're bringing your body forwards, getting into a perfect middle split position. When you're in this position, you want to try and squeeze the quads as hard as you can to elevate the ankles. This means that we can work a bit on the strength side as well as the flexibility. I'm just going to show you from a front-on angle as well. So you can see I'm really working the quads, you can see the quads working, really good strength exercise, trying to elevate the ankles and obviously trying to be in that complete middle split position. If you want to, you can prop yourself up against a wall if your feet tend to slide backwards. And now we're going to do swing throughs. So you want to try and get the chest all the way down to the ground and stay in that split position as the chest comes forwards. So you want to try and get your bottom all the way down to the ground, and then passing through box splits, bring the arms forwards in a nice straight kind of motion, and then changing to the other side when you do this. It's kind of rolling. I'd suggest again doing about 5 to 10 of these. So keep the legs straight, and then on the last one you can do a hold if you like to. So now we're going to do little glute lifts in the middle split position. So you should be flat in middle splits, as I said, if you're doing this session. You're doing little elevations of the glutes. And again, this is just a good exercise for strength, but also for working on your planche position. And now we're going to get into our extended middle split position. So one foot is elevated, you're getting all the way into a middle split position. Again, you can squeeze the quads, try and elevate the ankles off the floor. It's always good to work on strength when you're working on flexibility. And you can hold this position for 30 seconds to a minute, and then we're going to come into a forwards box split or middle split with the foot elevated. Just make sure the arms are staying in line with the chest and the bottom or the legs are in line with the hips in this middle split position. Try and relax into the stretch, and obviously the aim is to get your kind of bottom all the way down to the ground. Coming out of that position, nice and slowly, we're going to change sides. So the other leg is going to be elevated, and again, squeezing the quad, making sure that the legs are turned to the ceiling, not kind of turning inwards or outwards. Sitting up nice and tall, engage the core, and then once you've held that position for about 30 seconds to a minute, you can roll forwards. Again, make sure the hips are in line and just bring the chest all the way forwards. This is obviously a slightly more tricky position, and you're trying to get your bottom down to the ground. So holding for 30 seconds to a minute. And we're going to come out of that position nice and slowly. Now we're going to get into lateral leg kicks. So again, this is a nice leg strength exercise. You can use momentum, especially if you want to do this prior to doing your middle splits, just to get a bit of movement, make it more of a dynamic stretch. And then we're going to change to the other side and do 10 kicks on this side. Do try and keep the legs straight. Again, try and keep the chest up, the body in a nice straight position. Make sure the leg is going laterally out to the side. Next exercise we're going to be doing is laying on your back, and you're going to try and keep the legs as close down to the ground as you can, bringing up all the way to the arms and then all the way down. So you're trying to slide the legs almost across the floor, and this is actually a very good exercise if you're working your shoulder press or your straddle press to handstand. So you actually need that mobility, and it gets you to focus on compression. So it's not just a middle split exercise. I would actually almost say this is more a shoulder press exercise, but you can focus a lot on core as well. Now we're going to do leg lowers out to the side into a middle split position. The aim is trying to get the feet to touch the ground as you're doing this. So again, you can do 10 to 20 of these. Good strength exercise, also helps work on mobility. And now we're going to go back into a bit of recovery stretching. So we're just going to go back into that frog position and just easing your body nice and slowly down to the floor. Recovery stretching is always really nice if you've had quite an intense overstretched session. So just nice and relaxing, trying to get the body all the way down to the ground in this frog position. Then again, we're going to go into one leg straight and trying to lower the body all the way down to the ground, nice and controlled. Yeah, just make sure the leg is in line with the hip. And you can just hold for 30 seconds to a minute. Just relax into the stretch as you're in this position. And then we'll change to the other side. Lowering the bottom all the way down to the ground. Try and make sure the knees are staying in line with the hips, or the legs are staying in line with the hips. Coming out of that position, and we're just going to go into straddle lowers. So like what we did at the beginning, back nice and straight and lowering the chest all the way down to the ground. We're going to do a set of 10 of these. If you want to, after we've done these exercises, you can do another round of the middle split stretching, and then just lowering the chest all the way down to the ground. Then we're just going to come back into a laying down middle split position, nice and comfortable, just holding for a further 30 seconds to a minute. And that is pretty much the end of my middle split session today. Thank you so much for watching that video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel if you're not already, give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you for my next video. Bye!